Hey, welcome everyone. So one of my pet hobbies is to review people's resumes and to make suggestions and improvements to it. We're going to go over a resume together today. It might take a couple of videos because there's a lot to improve, but we'll do it together and hopefully you guys can learn something about how to put a good resume together. This is a real resume that was sent to me for a job opening I was hiring for. So yeah, let's go through it together and see what we can improve. So I would say, so now some of the formatting and stuff might have been messed up from a Word document. So I'll give a little bit of leeway on that. I've converted this Word doc into a Google Doc so that we can work on it together. But we can start first of all. So pretty simple. You've got your name, phone number, email address, city, and your degree, which is fine, no problem. The only thing is, the few things that bug me about this, it looks like this is supposed to be centered, but it's not actually centered. You can see at the top, it's not center aligned. If I highlight it and center it, whoops, I've got some crazy stuff going on here. So to help fix this, I've probably got to be able to see, can I see non-printing characters? I don't know if we can do that in Google Docs. Maybe we can't. But I suspect there's some kind of tab here. So we're going to get rid of tabs. You have to be actually quite careful with tabs because you can find yourself that tabs get put into all sorts of different depending on the screen size, the font size, all that kind of stuff. You can actually ask for a tab. Oh yeah, we've got tabs up the top here. But you can get yourself in trouble. I would say don't use tabs. Alright, so here we are centered. We have a phone number, contact details. Now be careful. See how this link is invalid? I would suggest probably just making sure that there are no links at all. So in Word and Google Docs, etc., if you put your name at gmail.com and a space, it's going to automatically detect it as a link. You probably don't want it to be a link. Well, actually, back in the day, you would print, the resumes would be printed out. These days, they're probably not printed out. They're probably sent electronically. So, maybe there's something to be said for actually having links back into resumes. I used to always recommend to take them out because if they're printed out, there's not much point in doing it. But I guess these days I might have to change my position. So if you do a link though, make sure that it's linked to the right thing. So you're testing my my Google Docs information. There we go. I've got a link. All right, cool. Is it pointing to the right thing? Yes. Make sure it's always pointing to the right thing. Okie doke. So the other thing here, there's actually a mixture of italics, non-italics. And we've got this double divider thing. I would just say have one or the other. If this line is going to be non-italic, then have it non-italic. So we'll just check that off and we can have my name here as italics. I think already that's looking better to what we had before. If you use these dividers, I would say just to visually separate them further. City is going to be, there we go. I reckon that's looking much better. Sweet. Okay, now even though this is based on a real resume, I have modified information so that the person can't be identified, I'm hoping. But first of all, so this is the first impression, okay? Keep in mind that your resume's main goal is only to get the interview, okay? There's no other purpose for your resume. So now to just get an interview, you don't necessarily need to have everything in your whole career mapped out and talked through in your resume. It's better to have information on your resume that creates interest, that differentiates you from other people, and kind of gives things your flavor. Now, once you've got that down, that's all you need to do. If that's enough to score an interview, then that's all you need. Now, this resume is 5 pages long. Way too long. It's better for you to get it down to 1 page. So 1 page is going to be our goal. Now, I know that might freak out quite a lot of people, and totally understand, but we're going to go through it together and I'll show you how we can get it down to 1 page. It's going to take a few iterations though, but that's okay. All right, so professional summary is fine, but look how big it is. So this is almost the whole page in itself. Now we can cut this way back. Some of the reasons, like the way I know that we can cut it way back, is that this resume is kind of like a dump of all the skills and all the things that this software engineer has done over their 12 years of experience. The thing is, not all of it is going to be relevant for a role. Now, this particular role that was advertised mentioned a few technologies that are used in the role. The primary one was Golang, and React was also mentioned. So I would say, hey, everything else, not so important. The other thing too is these things here, like SDLC, if you've been a software engineer for 12 years, you're probably expected to know that. Requirements design, development, testing, implementation, I would say not relevant. I guess the reason why this is here is because you're headlining, I've got 12 years of experience. Great. Okay. But talk about what these 12 years have taught you, who it makes you, how you can differentiate. This stuff, it's the same as everyone else. Everyone does that. So how can we make it different? Well, we'll come back to this. So 12 years of, I'm going to put a placeholder here, something that differentiates. Cool. Okay. So we're going to come back to that. Okay. 7 years of Python, 3 years in Java and Golang. I would say not that relevant. Golang, like I mentioned, was more relevant. But the thing is, just saying it out there doesn't really give me an impact of like why you're a good Python developer, why you're a good Golang Java developer. It doesn't differentiate you. So let's just put relevant to the job. So we're going to go 3 years in Golang. Then we're going to put something that differentiates. You might notice a theme. Okay. We're going to come back to that. Okay, excellent coding and problem solving skills with the ability to work as a developer. This is taken word for word from the resume originally. So I think first of all, problem solving with the spaces, it kind of makes me think that this is like an end of its sentence, or problem solving is better to go, or just don't have it at all. You don't actually need a hyphen between problem solving. So now, ability to work as a developer, well, that's a given for the role. Doesn't differentiate you. We need to get rid of that. Excellent coding and problem solving skills, everyone's got that. Okay, so we're actually going to nuke it. This whole sentence is not really worth much. So let's get rid of it. Strong working knowledge in developing RESTful web services, microservices using Python, Golang, Java. Okay, we've mentioned Golang here. I think we need to get rid of exactly what programming languages you use, not really relevant. RESTful web services, microservices, that could be relevant to the job. So I would say they get rid of the caps. Probably there's like all different ways that microservices can be written. Google Docs are going to give you a certain flavor. It's fine. I think microservices one word, or microservices is fine. This thing might bug some people, not others. REST is like an acronym, so you could say that. Now, is it useful to have that? We'll come back to it, maybe. Expertise in React.js and working with React Flux architecture. Okay, we'll keep that for now. Notice how this has got a full stop, and the other ones don't. I would say be consistent. Shows attention to detail. Good hands-on experience in designing, developing, implementing, and deploying applications on cloud using AWS, PCF. I'm not sure what PCF is. That's probably just my knowledge. This job mentioned AWS, so I'm actually going to remove that. Designing, developing, implementing, and deploying applications on cloud. Okay, well, I would say implementing is kind of redundant. Deploying could be something we could go into. I'm going to separate that out. Designing and developing, everyone's got that. So I would change this. I would actually remove that and saying something like experience in deploying applications on cloud. I can't spell. Okay, we might come back and revise this. So Docker, Kubernetes, Git, Bitbucket, SVN. Don't put SVN on your resume, even if you know it. Nearly everyone's using Git, and if they're not, you probably may not want to work there. That could just be my preference, though. I'm sure there are still shops using SVN. But I mean, if you're happy to work in those places, fine. I would say err on the side of Git. Don't mention SVN unless you're specifically going for that in the role. Okay, Docker and Kubernetes, though, are probably good. Now, there's going to be some technologies where it's good to actually call out, and that could be because they're sexy, because they're used widely in the industry, because there's lots of skills in demand. You might also do it because there's some skills that put you into more the experimental phase, or like the willingness to kind of try new things. So if it's like a new tech that's kind of picking up ground, you might add that kind of thing to your resume. That makes you stand out from the rest. So we will say that Docker and Kubernetes are probably good call outs to include. I would actually say Git and Bitbucket are kind of irrelevant. So I'd actually get rid of it. Now, you could actually, Docker and Kubernetes, right, are going to be very similar to AWS, like Ops, Enterprise, DevOps stuff. So I would take that out. I would say, now this would have to be that you've got experience in it, but I would kind of reword this a little bit. So I'd say DevOps and CI/CD tooling. I'd get rid of cloud because it's redundant. AWS implies cloud. Using AWS, Docker, and Kubernetes. Cool, beautiful. That would reduce like 2 lines into one and much more concise. Actually uses more buzzwords like DevOps and CI/CD. But if these are relevant to your skill set, it's better to call them out in this format. Hands-on experience in creating user stories and reports like Jira. I'm not sure how user stories and reports go together. That's not clear for me. Snagit, I think, is like, isn't that taking screenshots? And Trackspace, I'm not sure what that is. I would say just nuke it. Unless it's probably better to say, well, instead of reports, which doesn't make sense, and instead of Jira, unless you like set up Jira or admin to Jira or, that kind of thing, Google's saying put it hands on. Yeah, either or, could go either way. I would say hands-on experience in creating user stories and say backlog grooming. I would actually say, because there's going to be a few things that these kind of things would make you stand out: backlog grooming and facilitation. I would just say that probably. That could be because not all engineers kind of might have that experience, so it's good to call it out. Okay, experienced in handling big data systems using NoSQL, DB, Cassandra, data streaming tools like Kafka in multi-data center cluster. Could be relevant, wasn't relevant for the job ad though. So is it good to have here? Look, I would say if you're going for a data type role, then sure. If you're not, and it's kind of more web engineering, then I would say, especially the job ad mentioned Golang, React, mentioned AWS. It might have mentioned Docker. Didn't mention anything about data. I would say probably take it out. Utilize agile methodologies. Now, this was in Australia, which we use UK English. So Google's going to complain. Change locale to British English. There you go. Beautiful. Just make sure you've got that setting set if you're going for jobs in the UK or Australia. Utilize agile methodologies to manage full lifecycle development of the project and involved in business requirements phase, which involved direct interaction with clients. Okay, you got involved twice, which is not great. Utilized agile methodologies. Okay, I would say this is redundant. Utilized agile methodologies. I would add, like, was this successful? Successfully engage with successfully engage directly with clients. I would say to map business requirements and successfully engage directly with clients. I would just reword it to be something like that. We might modify it, come back to this later. Experience in the development of distributed components using servlets, JSP, JDBC, Ajax, jQuery, JavaScript, and CSS. Okay, jQuery is kind of falling out of fashion. I would probably take that out. Ajax as well. JDBC, now if you're going for a Java shop thing where it's applicable, maybe. I'm not sure how distributed components kind of applies to some of these, but not all. I'd just take it out, I would say. Okay, databases involved in application development. DB2 is kind of specialized. I would take that out unless it's relevant. MariaDB, Oracle, and MySQL, they're kind of the same thing. So I would just say, not sure why my key things are all messing up. Mongo, HBase, Redshift. All right, let's just go using MySQL, MongoDB, HBase, Redshift. Let's drop it down to that. We might come back to this. Experience using Agile, Scrum, Waterfall methodology to build projects. That's redundant. It's the same as this line, so we're going to kill it. Excellent leadership, technical communication, analytical problem-solving skills, building on with people. Nah, everyone can do that. Kill it. Okay. So we've got professional summary all the way down to this, which is improvement. We might come back to it. Professional expertise. Now, what this person's done, they've kind of summarized their professional experience. And then down here, well, they've got key projects. This engineer actually did a lot of work as a consultant. So I guess that's why it has this format. But I think this information here is kind of redundant. You kind of have included it twice. So here it's got, the name, domain, organization, and you're actually calling out kind of roles and responsibilities for this. It's kind of also confusing because this here didn't quite 100% match up with this. It kind of did, but so anyway, the dates are good. Dates are missing from here. So what I would do is probably go kill this, bring it down here. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about making sure things line up and, hang on. No, I don't want to change. We're going to go organization. Okay, the other thing as well, tables. Tables are a little bit dicey. Tables have, so when this got transferred into Google Docs, which people, recruiters and staff will do. Actually, I'm just going to pop this back. I'm just going to pop this back in here. So I just undo a bunch of things, just because I'm going to fix up some other things and come back. So when you use tables, they have the potential to mess up. So I would suggest not to use them wherever possible. Dot points are fine. They usually transfer between doc format and Google Docs, no problem. Tables and tabs, problematic. I would just keep away from them. So you got this technical, we're going to come back to this in a sec. Let's go to technical proficiency. So for starters, I can't remember whether all this was bolded or not, but don't just have one bolded and the rest not. You got different font sizes. So languages here is font type 0.11, software tools is 10. Make sure they're the same. Consistency. This one here is 9. That's not so bad if you use that, because you've got a lot of data and detail in here. Thing is, all this detail, not really necessary. You're talking about a whole bunch of things that are kind of, there might be stuff in here that's related to data, Python, data processing, machine learning. Sure, if it's relevant, put it in. Some of these are not relevant. I would say probably Unix. I don't think we're kind of going there, are we? Some of these are big data type things. Then you've got JavaScript mentioned twice. Nope, no good. Okay, so we're going to kill a bunch of these because I don't actually think you need it. If we go back up here, right, we've got a bit of a snapshot, right? Okay, you understand Golang. Now, it can be good to show other languages, like that your polyglot, can work in multiple programming languages. So we might expand on that. This kind of shows back-end, front-end, and DevOps skill sets, AWS, Docker, Kubernetes, and databases. So you're showing that you're kind of full stack. I'd say the only thing missing from here is polyglot. This is kind of talking polyglot, but there's a bunch of detail in here you probably don't need. These software tools also probably not relevant. Everyone's got different software tools, but they kind of all do the same thing. So, if you got Jira or you got Pivotal Tracker, you got something like that. Like if you use some other system to manage your work, they're kind of similar. As a software engineer, I don't think you're going to be asked to be an expert in Jira. Especially if you go for roles in larger organizations, they're going to have someone who already knows Jira, most likely. So I need to kill this whole thing. It's kind of duplicated from above, so I'm going to nuke it. Now remember, we're not looking for every tech you've ever worked in. We're looking for stuff that's relevant to the role and things of that nature. So we're just going to nuke it. Okay, so now key projects. Okay, so we're going to change key projects. Let's just have a look through here. Here's some example of, I think, docs getting messed up with Google. So this might not actually have been 5 pages originally. It might have been 4 because there's a few gaps, blank lines and stuff. Okay, it still might have been 5 anyway. Alrighty, so now we need to get professional experience, which is huge, including all this. We need to get it down. So what I would say is to don't make this stop points. So let's kill the bullet points. Let's make this currently working, kind of redundant. The engineer in Acme from March till the date. Yeah, it was a bit weird. Till present. So I'd say you could probably get rid of till, just use a dash. These don't even have dashes or anything, so I don't know if that was a word mix-up. It looks like there's till. Sometimes there's nothing, so consistency. 2, okay. Consistency. Make sure you're consistent. Whatever patterns you use, make sure it's consistent. These have full stops, these don't. So consistency. Now these will kind of be a bit of a heading, so I'm going to kill, I'm going to kill those full stops. Okay. Technical. I'm pretty sure that was in the original. Technical. No, that was my clever name. That's my clever made up name for the company. So definitely keep that. Okay. All right. So here we go. All right. So I would say in here, I'd get rid of from, kind of irrelevant. I'd get rid of in, irrelevant. Lead engineer, comma, Acme, dash, March to present. Okay. So using punctuation instead of words, it helps people to pattern match scan quickly. You don't want to get people like additional words that their brain has to understand. If I look through here, senior developer and data engineer in Banco, Austin. So I've got to look at the city, kind of irrelevant, most likely, the company name, and I've got to kind of, you're making me pattern match and figure out what's what. So we don't want to do that. So let's make this better. And data engineer, I would just say one or the other, unless you're going for a data engineering role, and then you might do that a bit differently. I'd get rid of the city and get rid of the from. Okay, get rid of contract Chicago, no one cares. Dash tech lead. Okay, I wouldn't. Technical. So I'd probably kill this unless you're going for a data engineering job. Comma, company name, kill the city, make the from a dash. Senior software engineer, comma, whoops, kill the city, make from a dash, comma, kill the city, make from a dash. Okay, that's looking a bit better. All right, now you got a mixture of bold and unbold. I'm going to not do that because that's going to confuse people. Okie doke. All right, so just under here, professional experience. So you could make this a heading. That would be fine. So let's go with like, I haven't set up any headings. Ooh, that's coming from some. Okay, let's not do headings. Okay, let's go way back. All right, I haven't set up templating, formatting, styling. It's come over from the Word doc, which looks a bit nasty. So we're just going to do it manually. So you can bold it. Let's just bold it. All right. Okay, so let's say this was the one. Now, these aren't going to line up directly, but that's okay. So I'm just going to, okay, let's just cut this, move it down here. We'll use that for the next one. We just work on this one. Okay, so we're killing the key projects. We're just going straight in, boom. All right, now if you've got this, you don't need this top line. Okay, so we're going to nuke this row. How do we nuke a row? Delete row, boom. Okay, technologies and tools. Yeah, look, I would say for starters, right, you've got comma with no space, no white space, no white space, big no-no. So you've got a list of tech here, no white space, big no-no. But at the same time, do you really need a whole list of tech? I think not, because you want to show just more than tech. You don't want to be a code monkey, right? Probably you just don't want to cut code and do nothing else. I mean, if you just do, that's fine, but I think you're positioning yourself here as, say, a lead engineer, something that differentiates you. You're not just looking to say, I just cut code and that's it. You want to actually say, I solve problems. Much more valuable to a hiring manager. Now, because tables suck as well, we're just going to kill it. Okay, roles and responsibilities. Okay, now, there's a couple of ways you could do this, right? You could split roles and responsibilities and achievements. Okay, now in this format, you would have, point 1, 2, 3, and achievements, you would have achievement 1, 2, 3. That could be a format. Okay, now to get it down to one page, we may have to pull this in a bit. So let's go through this first and start cutting, because this is humongous and we need to cut it. Working as platform team as team lead. You've already called yourself a lead engineer, so irrelevant, redundant. Leading the team of 10 members and also working as Python Go full stack tech lead and machine learning engineer. That could be useful. We'll leave that in. Providing solution to migrate on-premises app to AWS cloud. That could be useful. Consistency. Make sure your acronyms are fine. This actually has extra spacing. Not great. Make sure your spacing is spot on. Pretty sure this came through from the Word doc. You've got a mixture of like capital case here. Not great. And tech lead here and full stack. Just make sure it's consistent. So full stack probably should be, and you should use commas here because you tech lead and machine learning engineer. We'll just make that all lowercase. Do you put a full stop or not? This one's got a full stop. These don't. I'm just going to put everything with a full stop. Consistency, leading the team of 10 members and also working as Python Go full stack tech lead machine learning engineer. This kind of irrelevant, I would say. Unless the tech also working, I wouldn't worry about it. I would say team of 10 members. Now, it's probably good to mention what kind of members you're talking about. If they're engineers, say leading the team of 10 engineers. Let's put that in for a sec. Providing solution to migrate on-premises app to AWS Cloud. That could be useful. We'll come back to it. Created different apps using Python, should be capitals. Django, Fast API, Falcon, Flask, and Java Spring Boot. Okay, commas, spacing is messed up. Need a full stop there. Providing a solution. Yeah, providing a solution is kind of weird phrasing, actually. If you led the solution, I would say make it a bit fancier. Led the architecture systems design to migrate because I don't know what they're talking about here, on-premises app to AWS Cloud. I think that's a better sentence. Created different apps using Python, Django, Fast API, Falcon. Created different apps. It's not really a great thing. I would just take it out. Design, develop components using Python, Django framework. No one cares. Everyone can do that. Implemented code in Python to retrieve and manipulate data. Everyone does that. Yep, not useful. Take that out. Data serves APIs and GraphQL to consume data for analysis. Now, this kind of thing is interesting, right? It's better to talk about what kind of problems you solved. Migrating on-premise app to AWS Cloud is good. What's even better is to say, like, add a bit of flavor, add a bit of story. So it could be, and try to put measurements, achievements into it as well. So you could say, led the architecture systems design of a major migration of an on-premises app to AWS Cloud. We could say enabling let's just say continuous deployments and ongoing scalability. So there could be some benefit, right? Like, why did you move on-premise to the cloud? Talk about what you achieved. What business outcome did you achieve? It's much better to go, okay, cool, we've, not just that you did something because someone told you to do it, but you actually understood why it was important and, why the approach you took. Like you went to understand the business requirements, understand the business advantage, understand constraints. You solved the problem within those constraints. Having that kind of approach is a much better way to talk about some of the things that you've worked on. Even here, like consume data for analysis, like what did that enable? Did that enable a data team to have, data within 5 minutes, whereas before they had to wait 24 hours? Big improvement, right? Like those are the kind of things to talk about. So you got created here twice. I would say probably, implemented a data, I would say API to consume data. So using an API to consume doesn't kind of make sense, some of the wording around it. Analysis is probably the thing to pull out. So I would say get rid of this and say implemented a new data analysis platform that enabled the data team to get near real-time data. Enabled the data team to get is probably not a great word. Implemented a new data analysis platform that enabled the data team with near real-time data. Much more sexy. Now you have to make sure it's true, but there's a good example of like weaving in the customer, like who you created it for and why. Create a different finance calculation API using Python or Django as backend. Different finance calculation. Why? Why should I care? What's the point? What pain did it solve? What pain did it solve? API using Python or Golang as backend, kind of not really relevant. We've already said at the top that okay, let's go back to the top for a sec. I think Python was originally here. Python, Golang, and Java. Okay, they're probably the three main ones you've got scattered out through the resume. Okay, so created different finance calculation. I would just kill it unless you've got the impact that it made. So if it's a finance calculation, you might say built or you could say improved finance calculation systems to save costs of $4 million per month. Huge. Awesome. We'll use Luna program to reduce the Adobe. No idea what that is. Created Adobe Calc API. Yeah. No. That's kind of redundant. Created long-running scalable batch jobs. Not impressive. Also have done some automation. Automation, is that for testing? Automation testing? Using Python as backend? Yeah. Look, if it's automation testing, okay, cool. Why did you do automation testing? What advantage does it give you? Lead. Okay, let's say rolled out new automation testing. A new automation testing project. Get rid of that and say which reduced bug rate, let's say in production by 10%. Impressive. Just get a real number. And look, if you don't have real numbers, like, the team didn't measure it or whatever, you can still work it out. So if you're still working here, check Jira, run a bit of a report yourself, see what your bug rate used to be, what it is now. You can take ownership over the things that you roll out and put in the measures in place, even if they're just informal or they're just things that you do at a certain point in time. Like if you did a report that said, what was my bug rate 3 weeks before the change? What's the bug rate 3 weeks after the change? And just take that percentage and put it in your resume. You don't have to monitor over time, have a dashboard, anything like that. Like, no. You're only just doing it to get the interview, remember? Okay, created and deployed, monitored, controlled for models. That sentence doesn't make sense to me. Just going to kill it. Develop complex data pipeline, Spark jobs. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like there's some data stuff here, but created some things, TensorFlow. Nah. If you've got things in there that enabled things, then cool, like pull it in. So you could say in here, all these lines here, and including that one and that one. So if you want a machine learning, you could say established machine learning. Oop, yep, thank you. Pipelines. So why did we do it? What did it give us? What business improvement? What did the customer want? Let's just say that drove customer recommendations. Now, if you can put a measure on it, awesome. You could just stop there and that would still be useful. So, establish a machine learning that drove customer recommendations. Yep, that will do. If you've got a measure for that, put it in. If you don't, just make it more interesting. Like, why did you do it? What was the business case? What did the customer want? Docker environment, I would say, don't worry, you've already put it up at the top, which we'll come back to anyway. Tableau, I wouldn't worry. So a lot of data stuff, but look, don't just include a whole bunch of random tech. Tell people why you did it. Okay, so now, so the flavor we're going for is like data, machine learning, leading. So here's the thing, right? When people look at this role, what did you want to communicate with all those big dot points? You want to call out team leadership, right? You want to call out data engineering, and you want to call out, I'll say, machine learning, and you want to call out, what was the other thing I said? Well, there's a few things. I think what we're talking about here is like the improving things, AWS, cloud, stuff like that. But you probably want these two things, and probably like, let's say, improving systems, right? So some example. So you want these 3 points to be impactful when you look at this role. What were the top things that you achieved, rolled out, made impact on in the role that you were in? Don't worry about everything else. Like, just take all that other stuff out. As long as you've mentioned points that hit and land for these 3 things, that's the target you're trying to hit, right? Now, leading a team of 10 engineers. Okay, so that's talking about team leadership, right? And there's got a bit of a lead here for lead architecture and stuff. So I would say we don't really have enough to have roles, responsibilities, and achievements. And, I don't think we really need to. So what you could do is just kill this and just do that. Boom. You got team leadership. You've got some impact things you did. You've got measures. By the way, any measures that you've got, I would say put them further up because they're going to have more impact, right? If you actually have solid measures for these things, you can just scan. And I think a hiring manager is just going to be scanning through. So you want to keep it easy for them. So if they can just say, cool, leading 10 engineers, cool, save $4 million a month, reduce bug rate in production by 10%. Boom. You could actually, you still want machine learning and data engineering to be there, so you would do that. This one here, you could pull this one out. It's still impressive to show the others, but maybe we'll leave it in for now. We might cut it later. All right, that's it. You're done. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so now I know these aren't exactly going to match up, but that's okay. This is just an example. Okay, so let's go with the next one. Actually, I think this one was a little bit weird. I'm just going to kill it. We won't use it as a title because this one looks like smoothly here is matched up with smoothly. So, all right, now let's do the same thing. Take this out, move it down here, come back to that. Alrighty. Okay, now it all matches up, I think. Excellent. Okay, now remember, this is redundant and you don't just want to list a tech. You want to show what you did, what you improved. So I'm going to delete that. And then you've got roles and responsibilities, which we're probably going to nuke. Let's keep the same format. So if you choose this format, do it the same way for all of your roles. Don't mix it up and change it. So if you just have 6 dot points, try to get 6 or less. So this is 6 here. And remember that this one's questionable. We might kill that one. But let's go in here. Okay, so consultant, working Python. Who cares? Unless you did something awesome, which hopefully you've mentioned down below. So I'm just going to kill it. Okay, recreated web interface, Django for web-based report generation. Why? What did you do? And creating a web interface kind of doesn't sound that exciting. Web-based report generation. Does that mean it wasn't web before? Why is web so important? Maybe it wasn't web before, but I would say, okay. I would say, what did this web interface do? I guess report generation. Who was it for? What impact did it make? So why should I care? So you want the hiring manager to ask this question and answer. You want to provide the answer. Why should you care? Why does it differentiate you? Why was it a highlight? By the way, that should be a D, a capital D. Why was it good? Okay, so we're going to say created a new Django application that provided web-based reports for our finance team that reduced the time. Oh, actually, so one thing that's interesting, right, when you're working on report stuff, let's say, why do we provide web-based reports? Okay, let's say reduce the time needed for financial reporting, let's say for monthly, by let's say 4 working days per month. Okay, something like that. Way better. All right, you're like understanding the customer, understanding the value. Way better way to talk about it. Okay, worked with SLC process. Nah, I mean, gaining requirements. Okay, interesting. Architecture design. Okay, cool. Put it in context. Okay, so up here we got like this example where we did led the architecture and system designs for a migration of an app to AWS. What was the example? If you don't have the example, like worked with it, I mean, that means, I guess, you were involved in architecture design discussions and requirements analysis. So, yeah, you could probably say work closely with stakeholders on requirements analysis through to architecture design discussion. Or let's say this still has to be true, right? I'm just using an example. To facilitating architecture design discussions with the engineering team. That's probably better. Analysis to, I'm going to keep it through. Design and implemented UI, user module interface, and other core functions. I don't know why. What was the benefit? Why should I care? Purely individual contributor type project. Irrelevant. I'm collecting a requirement from finance team developing tool, which is doing the reconciliation and send the results to SAP. SAP should be in caps. I am collecting. You've kind of gone to first person. I think we're kind of not in first person anywhere else, so don't mix up your first, third person type thing. This is written really weirdly. I'm going to kill it. Implementing Celery and Redis to make it more scalable. Make it more scalable? Make what more scalable? Let's say implemented. So you're talking past case, right? This is an old role. Celery in caps probably. Implement Celery and Redis. Why? To make it more scalable. Okay, let's change this. So to improve scalability where increased usage was causing performance degradation. What's wrong with that? Can't spell. Okay. Used OSS2 module for file storing and extracting. Okay, so you got 3 things here. That's okay. It's all good. You're still putting stuff in the context of the customer. You're showing that you're working across stakeholders and leading architecture. And you're also talking about something where you solve some problems and introduce some new tech. I think that's good. You don't need more than that. So all good. You don't have to have 6. All right, let's go to the next one. Banco. Okay, I'm going to move this down to there. Okay. All right, so same kind of rules apply. We're going to make that bold. We're going to kill this table because it is irrelevant. And are going to follow the same structure as above. So roles and responsibilities is going to go. Worked as blah. Yeah, I think this is supposed to be a bullet point. Okay, you're already saying you're a senior developer, so you don't need to say, data engineer. I would just say don't say it like this in a bullet point. Talk about how you were an effective or great full stack dev data engineer. That's the thing to target. So I'm going to take it out. Followed agile methodology. Okay, this kind of sounds like the thing at the top, right? Engage directly with clients. Slightly different, I think, from the original phrasing it had before. But is it relevant? It's probably assuming that you are using Agile in most cases, I think. So is it that impressive to talk about it? Probably not, unless followed methodology. But did you do like continuous improvement, for example? Is much more better to be talking about than just following Agile. So, I mean, if you use continuous improvement, I would say, doing that. And if you're a senior, then you're probably influencing people in your team. So I mean, hopefully this is true, but this is how I would write something like this. So I would say influenced team ways of working. Oops. To incorporate a focus on continuous improvement through retrospectives and what else? And well, you might not have to say through. You could just say continuous improvement. You could talk to it in an interview though. So people might say, "How did you do that? Like, how did you influence? What it looked like? What happened?" It's probably enough just to have it there, and you can talk to it in the interview. Making the application more stable, adding new features to use the application. Not sexy. No. More stable. Why was it unstable? What was going on? Adding new features. Well, that's a given. So let's talk about this stable thing. So I would say improved stability of the core. We're in a bank here, so banking platform. Reducing. Let's say in reducing downtime to an average of 5 minutes per quarter. Something like that. So it's measurable. Whatever measure you've got, anything that you can pull, that's a much better way to say it. Implementation of new Python modules for addition new features. Yeah, it's legacy code removal. Nah. Data pipeline using Spark. Why? Analysis of data using R. Yeah, no. Creation API. No. Add new features. Gain more scalability. We already talked about scalable. We talked about reducing downtime. That's stability. Scalability. So new features to gain scalability doesn't quite make sense. Solution design and interface definitions in collaboration with architects and internal teams. Come back to that. Working with incident management, problem management, change management, onboarding applications. So I guess these are teams: incident management team, problem management team, change management team. We might be able to reword that. Technical mentorship, guidance, and coaching of a small agile team. Yeah, that's good. All right, that should be at the top. Cool. Solution design, external teams. Whoop, you got that doubled up. Not good. Attention to detail. End-to-end responsibilities. Not that great. Architectural alignment, standards, compliance. Yeah, you already doubled up on that one from the point above. Okay. let's talk about, I think this is not that sexy, so I'm going to get rid of it. Creation of data pipeline using Spark. You have to talk about why. What did it enable the business to achieve? Or was there a specific leadership you took in that project? Not just creating the pipeline, but kind of assessing and experimenting with Spark. That's useful. I would say, why did you do it? Scalability, I'm just going to kill that. There's not enough specifics in there for me to make something out of it. So I'm going to say development of a new data pipeline using Spark that improved access to timely data for the customer service team. There you go. Much better. Okay, now that doesn't have a specific measure, but it shows focus on the customer and understanding the customer and the business context. Okay, solution design and interface definitions, collaborated with architects. I don't like this one very much. I would say collaborated closely with architects and external teams. I'd just kill it. It's not that sexy after all. Okie doke. Now, what we're going to do here, so this here, right, is March 2021 to present. Present is currently 2022, late 2022. This goes back 5 years. I would say stop there. Okay, you don't need every role that you've ever done. Now this goes back all the way to 2009. You don't need to go back that far. You've already said you've got 12 years experience here. Okay, it's fine. You don't need to list every single role. Remember, this is just to get the interview, right? So what you can do is, if there's highlights here, sure. Like if there's a nice big company, nice tech company, something's got a good reputation that people are interested in, that it puts you in a positive light, then okay, fine. Make sure it's there. So I can't answer that for this person, unfortunately, but I'm just going to say January 2009 to May 2017. Oops. Okay, let's just take this one. I'm just going to put this here, and I'm going to say leadership. So I'll say technical lead. Well, let's say various technical lead and senior engineer roles from blah to blah. Okay, what that does is that enables us to kill all this old stuff here. Okay, so we're going to nuke that role, and we're not going to go into any further detail. All right, so you can just bold that. There we go. Okay, so it shows history. You've been coding since 2009. It takes the top highlights from the last 3 roles, which is going to be the most relevant for your next role. And we are good on that. Okay, let's talk about personal profile. For starters, don't put your date of birth. It's easier to discriminate against you if you're old or young, or so this might not apply for you, but it's better just to take it out. It's not relevant. If you can do the job, you can do the job. Languages known could be interesting. Could be good to have. Marital status, I wouldn't put that. If you're going, I mean, this might apply to different cultures, different parts of the world, but if you're in a Western country, I wouldn't put that in. Nationality also wouldn't put that in. Not relevant. And hobbies, not relevant. So I would say, like, languages known, is it useful? Are you working in a place where Spanish and French is, desired? Is it part of the role spec? JD? Job description? Just kill it. It's not necessary. Okay, what are we up to? 1 page. Boom. We did it. All right, we're at 1 page. See? Easy. Now, what you've got here, you've still got a lot of the same things, right? You're showing leadership, you're showing experience with a bunch of tech, which you've called out specifically. You've called out some specific tech that you've worked with in the past. You've kind of showed that you're a technical leader, that you've got seniority, that you know how the customer works, you know how to improve business processes, you know how to optimize the team. There's a bunch of stuff that we've called out here, which is going to look great for you in an interview. And we've got it down to 1 page. We don't need 5 pages. Okay, so let's go back to this, something that differentiates. So this is the top of your resume, right? You want this to land, make an impact. 12 years. I don't know. I would say it's probably better, instead of saying 12 years, just say, there's a different way you could write this, right? So you could say a bit of a blurb about yourself, okay? Let's make a name for you. Let's call your name Trevor Rockman. Sounds like a cool name, eh? Okay, so let's say, now you could write in the third person here. I would just say write in the first person here. I know I said not to mix stuff. Here it doesn't really have a third or first person. It's just kind of stating things. It's a little bit, resume is a little bit weird in some fashions. It used to be out of fashion to write in the first person. These days though, I think you can write an introductory paragraph in the first person and then, you know, kind of this other type of language in the rest of the resume. I think that's fine. It kind of adds a bit of a personal touch. You don't want to go overboard, but you want to be able to express why you're different. And really here, you want to be able to capture, you know, professional summary, right? You're looking for a summary where you can just take the highlights. What's the highlights? How are you different? What differentiates you from others, right? So let's try to put something together. So you could say, oh, this is all in caps. This is weird. Hang on. Oh, I don't know why. Why are we in caps, man? That's going to mess up my fonts as well. I'm just going to... This is my attention to detail here. You know, get a bit like... Okay, I think we're good. I think we need font size 11, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I am an experienced software engineer. Full stop. I enjoy working across the full stack in Python, Golang, Java, and React. Okay. Well, you could say I'm an experienced engineer with 12 years in the tech industry. I enjoy working across full stack in Python, Golang, Java, and React. I have a strong knowledge of RESTful web services, microservices, DevOps practices, and now, okay, I'm going to say in CI/CD tooling. Oops, can't spell. Okay, these ones here, I think I'm going to nuke them. I don't think you need them. So you see here, I've got this down to 3 lines. This is like just telling you, like, why you're you. You know, what do you're full stack, you're polyglot, you got 12 years in the industry, web services, microservices, DevOps practices, CI/CD tooling. You might want to say a little about like what motivates you, why, you know, what else makes you different. You could also say my experience also covers what you could say, I would say here, experienced software, I would say lead engineer here, because you're kind of positioning yourself as a lead engineer, right? So you want to give that flavor of seniority where you pitch yourself. So I'm experienced lead engineer. You could lead software engineer if you want to. Okay. So you could say here something about, so what I'm trying to put in here is like some of the stuff that's a bit outside the box, right? Automation testing. It could be like, so you could say, I am an advocate for test-driven development and continuous delivery. That could be fine, just that. This gives you something a little bit extra, right? Actually, so we should probably say in here, DevOps practices in Docker and Kubernetes. I think they were good to have. I'm an advocate, say I'm a strong advocate for test-driven and continuous delivery. Oops, I am a strong advocate. And I let's call it that. All right, professional experience, boom, straight into it, bang, first, boom, look at that, we're done. Got it down to a page, it's looking good. Got your phone number, got your email, got your name, got your new name, congrats. 11 font, I think we're all using 11 font. Okay, so there's some things we could change here. We've got space, so we're down to one page, but we've got space. So what we can do, I would probably prefer not to make this centered. Most people are reading, like especially in Western countries, English-speaking countries, from the left to the right, from top to bottom. So I would actually say bold it, left align it. Oops, that's a header, is it? I would make it bigger. I'd get rid of italics. So what you're doing is like when this resume is on your page, you've seen it for the first time, it's like Trevor, cool. Trevor Rockman, yeah, he's the guy, he's gonna say, whenever you need these problems solved, Trevor's your man. And yeah, I think that's great. Cool. So because you've got a bit of space here, you can probably increase spacing between some of these. So maybe your headings, you could actually increase the size of your headings. I would actually get rid of the colons here, don't need it. So that's font size 12, that might be enough. Yeah, look, I think that's it. You don't need anything else. You're done. So look, I hope that was a really big improvement. I might post these up somewhere and put them into the description of the video. But hopefully you learned something. Maybe we need to send both versions of resumes to hiring managers. Maybe we'll have a follow-up where we do that. That might be cool. But yeah, look, I hope that gives you some guidance on how to put your resume together, how to improve it, how to talk about some of the advantages and the pitches that you're going for, how to put it in a business context, how to help hiring managers, help you stand out to hiring managers. It's really important. And remember, the only thing this is for is to land an interview. You're not there to show your entire history. You're just there to be able to show how you differentiate, put yourself forward in the pocket that you want to be pitched in. So in this case, it's like technical leadership, polyglot, and some things that are a bit outside the box that make you you. That's what you're going for. So I hope that was enjoyment, and hope you learned something. Leave a comment down below if you want to ask any questions, or you want to give any advice to anyone looking at doing their resume. So thanks, cheers.